The Unhappy Hour on the new AmericanMedia.com.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles, to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unhappy Hour here on the TNAM radio network, because the news always matters. I'm your host, Brian Engelman. Thank you for joining us on the only Los Angeles-based, Cleveland-centric sports show that I'm currently aware of. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining us over the past 3 years, and I encourage you, if you have not yet done so, check out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Follow us on Twitter at American_media_, and like our page. Do a search for The New American Media with space in between and like the page. I think both of those, Twitter and Facebook, are on the bottom right of the homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. But I wanted to come talk to you today about a couple of stories in the news. Of course, we're gearing up toward an NBA Finals. The Miami Heat will be representing the East. Hooray. I would have rooted for anybody but the Heat in the East. And we will see what happens with Oklahoma City and San Antonio. We'll see how that one finishes, how that one plays out. But I wanted to talk about a few things going on. Of course, as a Cleveland Browns fan, this story, I have to cover it. More trouble for wide receiver Josh Gordon of the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, here it is again. This says Cleveland Browns are aware that Pro Bowl receiver Josh Gordon, facing a possible NFL suspension for another failed drug test, was ticketed for speeding last weekend. So what? Alright, he was speeding. A passenger in his car was cited for marijuana possession. Gordon is facing a season-long suspension after another failed drug test months ago, this time for marijuana, sources told ESPN's Outside the Lines earlier this month. Gordon was suspended 2 games last season for failing a drug test. Gordon was pulled over for driving 74 in a 60 zone, May 25th. According to the report, a passenger in Gordon's Mercedes was issued a citation for possession of marijuana in an amount under 200 grams. The marijuana was found inside a blue bag with identification. The passenger said the marijuana was not Gordon's. Well, Houston, Josh Gordon has a problem. You know, you would think, especially after leading the league in reception yards last year, becoming the first player in NFL history to have 200-yard receiving games back-to-back, all after missing 2 games from a suspension. You'd think he might be on his best behavior just to try to get through this. It's not a promising sign that he can't get through this. So we're going to continue to follow this and keep our eyes peeled, because we are big Cleveland Browns fans here. But we did tweet that out, and we are also putting this on our Facebook page under TNAM Sports, just posted right now. Also, interesting story here. The SEC, Southeastern Conference, is pondering Division 4. The Southeastern Conference sent a strong message to the NCAA on Friday. Provide the Power Five some autonomy, or they'll form their own division. SEC Commissioner Mike Silv said if the Power 5 conferences, which also include the Atlantic Coast Conference, the Big 12, the Big 10, and the Pac-12, don't get the flexibility needed to create their own bylaws, the next step would be to move to Division 4. Quote, "It's not something we want to do," Silv said on the final day of the SEC meetings. "We want the ability to have autonomy in areas that has a nexus to the well-being of student athletes. I am somewhat optimistic it will pass, but if it doesn't, our league would certainly want to move to a Division 4. My colleagues, I can't speak for anybody else, but I'd be surprised if they didn't feel the same way," end quote. Moving to Division 4 would keep the Power 5 under the NCAA umbrella, while granting college football's biggest moneymakers the kind of power to better take care of student athletes. The SEC, for example, would like to pay full cost of college attendance, provide long-term medical coverage, and offer incentives to kids who return to school and complete degrees. Smaller Division I schools likely can't afford the changes the major conferences are seeking, And while Division 2 and 3 have their own rules, forming a Division 4 would seemingly create a wider divide between the Power 5 and other smaller schools. So, are you gathering this? Pretty interesting. You know, and now the NCAA, a ruling just came in with Northwestern to say that they could unionize. What, to pay their players? The whole system of college athletics is about to get turned upside down. And you know what? Hearing that these players on receiving tuition, that they're not getting the real cost of college paid for. I mean, you need a couple of bucks of walking around money. Everybody does. To go get pizzas, to go to the movies, to get some new shoes, to get boxers, to put gas in your car, just the normal walking around stuff that you need. That should be covered when you dedicate so much of your life to a university to play sports. It should. No way around it. Because there's no way you can work a job while doing this. I think working jobs is actually prohibited by the NCAA. I'll have to double check that. But the fact that full medical isn't covered and that players can get dropped from their scholarships if they get injured, that's insanity. You got to protect the players. I'm okay with some of that. So we're going to keep our eyes peeled on that. But of course, the big news story has got to involve the Los Angeles Clippers. This is such an interesting story. This is from Bloomberg. One group not cheering Steve Ballmer's record $2 billion purchase of the LA Clippers would be basketball fans back in Seattle. Ballmer, the former chief executive officer of Redmond, Washington-based Microsoft Corporation, was part of a group that had been trying to return a National Basketball Association team to Seattle. The partners reached an agreement to buy the Sacramento Kings last year, only to have the NBA reject a relocation of the team. Ballmer has said he wouldn't move the Clippers from the second-largest U.S. media market because it would hurt the team's value. Without the billionaire's money, Seattle may have a more difficult time securing a team, said David Kahn, former president of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Quote, they lost their owner, and the price just went way up, Kahn said. The value proposition just changed, end quote. Chris Hansen, the hedge fund manager who is leading the effort to restore a Seattle team, said he and his remaining partners remain committed to the effort. Quote, the environmental review process for the Seattle arena is nearing completion, and we will soon be in a strong position to attract a franchise back to the Emerald City, he said in a statement. Hansen also congratulated Ballmer, saying Steve's passion for basketball and commitment to the NBA will make him a great owner and strong asset for the league, blah, 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 blah. In recent months, Hansen had sent a string of consoling messages to fans through a Twitter account created with his investment partners. Quote, dream nowhere near over, the group said May 15th. We're not going anywhere, another post said later that day. In April, as the NBA playoffs began, the group wrote, no, this is a tough time of year for Sonics fans. So why is it a tough time? The team that used to be the Seattle Supersonics, now the Oklahoma City Thunder, since moving there in 2008, has reached the Western Conference Finals. The Sonics, in Seattle for 41 years, moved after a fight that led to a city lawsuit and a bitter fan documentary called Sonics Gate. Ballmer, 58, outbid at least 4 other suitors for the Clippers, put up for sale after audio of owner Donald Sterling making racist remarks prompted the NBA to ban him. So, it's very interesting. I mean, is it possible? That the Clipper fans demanding, and other NBA players demanding that Donald Sterling get rid of the team, could lead to Steve Ballmer taking the team and moving them to Seattle? He would be a hero. Would be a better investment than staying in LA. I mean, it's a huge media market, and it's a very good team right now with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, etc. But is it possible? If you're worth $20 billion, what's $2 billion? Oh, I just saw an article. What was that? Donald Sterling is getting a roughly 1,500% return on investment. Well, $2 billion is the most ever to pay, ever charged for an NBA team. So, I mean, did they jump the shark? Did they pay too much for it? We're just going to have to wait and see. And I do plan on having Zach Barris, lifelong Cleveland sports fan and NBA scout, join the program and give his insight in this. The timing didn't work out for today. So we'll probably bring him on next week when we figure out who's in the finals. And go from there, I would think. But don't think it's over now. No. Donald Sterling has filed a $1 billion lawsuit. From ESPN, Donald Sterling isn't done fighting yet. The banned Los Angeles Clippers owner has filed a lawsuit against the NBA asking for damages in excess of $1 billion. The lawsuit was filed Friday in U.S. District Court in Los Angeles, just hours before the NBA announced that it had approved Shelly Sterling and the Sterling Family Trust's deal for the Clippers with former Microsoft executive Steve Ballmer, who bid $2 billion for the team. That deal must now be approved by the NBA Board of Governors. The league responded later Friday. Quote, Mr. Sterling's lawsuit is predictable but entirely baseless, NBA Executive Vice President and General Counsel Rick Buchanan told ESPN.com's Darren Rovell. Among other infirmities, there was no forced sale of his team by the NBA. Really? Okay, I'm going to disagree there. So among other infirmities, there was no forced sale of his team by the NBA, which means his antitrust and conversion claims were completely invalid. Conversion claims were invalid. Since it was his wife, Shelly Sterling, and not the NBA that has entered into agreement to sell the Clippers, Mr. Sterling is complaining about a set of facts that doesn't even exist. As part of the sale agreement, Shelly Sterling and the Sterling Family Trust agreed not to sue the NBA and to absolve the league of litigation by others, including Donald Sterling. Since the agreement between the NBA and Sterling Trust was announced after the lawsuit was filed in court, Donald Sterling's attorney, Max Blecher, it's not Belcher, it's Blecher, Max Blecher, said he needed to review all the new information before proceeding. Quote, we got to sit down and see how this affects us. Blecher told ESPN.com's Ramona Shelburne, quote, we have to think about this whole situation. She's saying if you sue us, we'll have to pay out of our own money. It's like suing themselves. We have to see whether the law allows that to happen. We have not yet had a chance to analyze or do any legal research about it. There's a lot of stuff happening in a very compact period of time. Give us a break. All right. I'll give you a slight benefit of the doubt there, pal, but it's time to hire a team and get it going, get it figured out. Blecher had told Shelburne earlier on Friday that the lawsuit addressed the invasion of Sterling's constitutional rights, violation of antitrust laws, breach of fiduciary duty, and breach of contract. He said the lawsuit had nothing to do with the sale. Donald Sterling repeatedly has vowed to fight the NBA's attempts to force him to sell the team. The fight was temporarily derailed this week after sources say he was found by experts to be mentally incapacitated, paving the way for Shelly Sterling to become the sole trustee of the family trust and empowering her to work on an agreement to sell the team to Ballmer. Earlier in May, 2 neurologists conducted a number of brain tests on Sterling, 80 years old, at the urging of his family, a source said. Their diagnosis was that he was suffering from Alzheimer's disease, and likely had been for 3 to 5 years. Sterling's side, as well as his wife's attorneys, had known of the test results for some time, the source said. The family trust has rules and guidelines regarding mental incapacitation, which it defined as the inability to conduct normal and regular business affairs. Earlier Friday, Blecher confirmed in an email to ESPN that evaluations were performed on his client, but said the results of the neurologist's examinations were, quote, grossly exaggerated, and that Mr. Sterling is far from mentally incompetent, end quote. In similar comments to CNN, Blecher said that it was determined that Sterling had modest mental impairment or a slowing down. Shelly Sterling and her advisors initially had hoped to sell the team without using her husband's incapacitation as a reason, according to sources. However, when Donald Sterling said in his response to the NBA that he intended to fight the sale of the team, they changed course and signed an agreement to sell, citing the terms of the trust. The rules of the trust did not require a court hearing first to declare that Donald Sterling is mentally incapacitated. That allowed Shelly Sterling to negotiate directly with Ballmer and the league to sell the team. Very interesting. $2 billion. $2 billion. Oh, this is going to be a complicated case. I don't like Donald Sterling, but it's a dangerous precedent. Dangerous, dangerous indeed. Complicated story. I mean, everybody seemed to love when Adam Silver, new NBA commissioner, came out and just blasted Donald Sterling and banned him and fined him $2.5 million. The mentally incapacitated part is kind of new. I mean, you listen to him in that Stiviano case where that girl was secretly recording him, and you watch his interview on Anderson Cooper. The guy's not there. Is he also suffering from cancer? I've heard that. I've heard that. So, I don't know. The NBA is a private club. I mean, they can kick people out. But I think there's this whole sort of a thought police. The PC police are really cracking down everywhere, and it's being used as leverage. Financial activism, financial terrorism, financial tactics of battle. I don't know. It's tricky, and we're going to follow it. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, and of the two teams, the Lakers and Clippers, I like the Clippers the most. But wouldn't it be really interesting if Ballmer did decide to move the team to Seattle, regardless of what he said? And that all of the clamor to sell the team means that they got rid of the team and the team left? That would be beyond interesting. And for the record, I don't think that owners should own a team. I think the city should pony up and buy bonds. And if they want a team, they can fund the stadium, the facility, appoint CEOs and presidents of the corporation, board of directors. You hire your coaches and your front office staff, your marketing department, your PR, all that jazz. And if the team is an asset, you keep it. If not, maybe you could sell it, whatever the case may be. But I don't like owners having the right to move franchises. I don't like it. I mean, my Cleveland Browns were stolen by Art Modell back in, 95? It was pretty miserable. So, I like the Green Bay method where the citizens of Green Bay own the shares of the stock. They're the shareholders of the team. I like that. I would like to see that. It's ludicrous, especially when some of the owners go to the people with a sin tax to get money to fund their stadiums. Well, if that's your team and you're making tens of millions of dollars each year, fund your own damn stadium. Why should one person, why should a husband and wife get to own a team? It's the people, it's the fans that make a team. So, I don't like it to begin with. It's not that I'm defending Donald Sterling. I'm saying that it's a slippery slope that we're about to walk down. I think Mark Cuban has made some similar comments. Now, I can say that without defending or liking the stupid comments from Donald Sterling, or from defending him and saying he's a great guy. I don't think he is. But I will take it a step further and change the argument. I don't think any man or woman should own a team. I think it should be the people. And if you stop supporting a team, then you know what, that team's got to go. You go belly up and somebody buys you out. Then another city has you. And if you lose, it's because you didn't support your own team. I don't like owners. I don't like the concept of it. Maybe that's a libertarian streak in me, but I'll leave a lot of those comments for our Agree to Disagree program, which you can find on the newamericanmedia.com. We have an archive of about 3 years of shows, so please take a look at all of that. We'd greatly appreciate it. Also, follow us on Twitter at American_media_. On Facebook, do a search for The New American Media. And like the page, because, of course, we like it when you do that. And then on YouTube, it's youtube.com/The New American Media. Always like hearing that one. Hearing that people are signing up on that. We've had a lot of success on that one lately. Just surpassed 300,000 video views, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. So please take a look, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. Probably talk some NBA Finals and more of this Donald Sterling drama. We'll bring in NBA scout Zach Barris next time, and we'll see what the Cavs do with their number 1 pick. Freaking awesome. Whether it's Joel Embiid or Jabari Parker or Andrew Wiggins, we'll see how that plays out. The Tribe have had a rough stretch. I got a win today. And, of course, getting excited for Ohio State Buckeye football. Hoorah! Also getting emails from fantasy football already. Man, it's like it's the beginning of June. What the hell happened to 2014? So, anyway, we're going to be here talking about things, and we appreciate you joining us. My name is Brian Engelman for the TNAM Radio Network. We'll talk with you next time. Peace.
The Unhappy Hour on the newamericanmedia.com.